shocking, it's so revealing, and it gives us an indication of things to come for the Middle East politically, but also an indication of things to come online with social media and what the Zionists have planned in terms of their influence operation to influence me, to influence you, to influence the entire Muslim world. And this is part of the larger plan that we've talked about, creating this kind of Judeo-Muslim, a Muslim who really understands that Israel is the ally of the Muslims. Judaism is equal to Islam and Christianity, and we're all part of this Abrahamic family. And Israel is here to stay. We have to treat Israel just like we treat any other country. Just like we have Egypt, we have Morocco, we have Libya, we have Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Israel. And this is all one big happy family. We have to, and anyone who is against Israel, anyone who's against this colonial project, anyone who's against this Zionism, the Zionist project, that's an extremist. You're an extremist, a hateful, anti-Semitic bigot, and that has nothing to do with Islam. Islam is all about tolerating our Abrahamic brothers, and we're one big Abrahamic family. This is what the Abrahamic Project is all about. And this is the influence operation that's being conducted through agents like Nas Daily. But Nas Daily is not the only agent. There is a whole host of agents that are operating, and I've talked about them many times. I've posted about them many times on this channel, on Twitter, because it's very obvious that they're agents. It's very obvious that their interests are not the interests of the Ummah, the interests of Muslims. They are giving the veneer and presenting a facade of being in support of Islam, being in support of the Ummah and the interests of even the Palestinians. They give a facade, but really what they're advocating is Zionism. What they're pushing is not Muslim interests, but Israeli interests, Zionist interests. And we can talk about someone like Rabbi Faris Hamadi. Rabbi Faris Hamadi, as you've seen on this channel, and we presented so many of the evidences, he will present himself as a Salafi, Sheikh, Imam. He's located in the UAE, in Dubai, and he's literally on the government payroll. He's literally on the UAE payroll. There's no denying that, because he has official position. Like, he gives talks and classes and khutbahs at official masajid that are controlled and run by the government. If you don't know this, it's not like Western countries, like the United States. If you want to go and be a preacher or an imam in the UAE, the government literally has to approve you. And if you're the imam or a speaker, a khatib at one of the big masajid in Dubai, in a city center, then that is a government role. And you are going to give the khutbah based on what the government approves of. Literally, sometimes it's literally a script that the government gives you. You have talking points that you have to convey. And this is the norm, actually, for most of the Arab world, but especially in the UAE. So the fact that he has this position means that he is on the government payroll. Now, if Rabbi Faris was just talking about random subjects and leaving it non-political, okay, fine. You would say that, well, there's no indication here that he is pushing Zionism. But when he goes on the minbar and he says that boycotting Israel is haram, for example, boycotting Israel is haram, then whose interests is he really representing? Yeah, he's speaking in Islamic language, he's using Islamic terminology, yeah, he has a beard and he's dressed as a Muslim, but whose interests does this fatwa serve, for example? Or when he's speaking out against Hamas, when he's speaking out against the Palestinian resistance, whose interests are really served by that? And the vast majority of Muslims are immediately able to recognize what's going on here. When Rabbi Faris comes out and he says, don't share pictures and don't share video evidence of the atrocities that Israel is committing against the Palestinians. He comes out and he gives that kind of fatwa. Whose interests are really being served by that? It's their Israeli interests that are being served, not Muslim interests, because as we know, showing the barbarity of the Israeli genocide in Gaza, that has been so critical towards winning a media war against the Zionist state. The Zionist state that is trying to conduct this genocide, this ethnic cleansing that has killed nearly 400,000 Palestinians, nearly 20% or more of the population within Gaza has been eliminated because of Zionism over the past 18, 19 months. And the biggest impact that has been had to destroy the reputation of Israel globally is all the footage, all the pictures and video that is coming online from the Palestinians. And someone like Rabbi Faris comes online, Faris Hamadi, he has a beard, he's dressed as a Muslim, he says Bismillah, he gives his fatwa, and maybe he even tries to cite a hadith or cite some verse of the Quran. But at the end of the day, the fatwa is serving who? It's serving Israel. It's serving Israeli interests. And that makes sense that an agent of the UAE government, which is at the forefront in terms of Muslim countries that is trying to normalize relations with Israel, develop deeper economic, diplomatic ties with Israel, it's no surprise that the biggest agents targeting the Muslim world are coming from the UAE and are somehow tied to the UAE government. Isn't it interesting how the UAE is they have some expatriates from the West, but the majority of Emiratis, they don't speak English. That's not their main language. So why is there so much English language media coming from the UAE? Why is there so much media that is being pumped out onto social media coming specifically from the UAE when they don't have that kind of population? This is an attempt to control the discourse outside of the UAE, targeting specifically English-speaking Western Muslims in the United States, in the UK, in Europe in general. Specifically targeting them. Why? Because Israel has recognized, and their client state, the UAE, recognizes that the biggest opponents of Israel in the Muslim world, the ones that have the biggest reach and have potentially the biggest influence, they're the ones who are in the West, Muslims in the West. This creates a problem. This creates a PR problem, where you have Muslims in the West who are speaking English on YouTube. They have millions of followers. Their videos get millions of views, and they're speaking against Israel. They're speaking against Zionism. They're speaking against Zionist normalization and the Abraham Accords. How can we address this? This becomes a PR problem for Israel. This is a huge problem in the media war. Well, we have this client state, the UAE. They can plausibly present themselves as Muslims. They speak Arabic fluently. They can recite the Quran. They can recite hadith. They can plausibly represent Islamic orthodoxy. So we have some of these figures. We give them all the legitimacy through money, giving them positions at these big mosques, at these big masajid in the Emirates, having them present their halaqas, their durus, recording that with the best video equipment, with actual video teams that come and put out this high production material online, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook and Twitter and all of social media. And we're pumping out what? We're pumping out Israeli Zionist talking points, except they're masked. They're covered in the veneer of Islamic knowledge. In the case of Rabbi Faris, this is in Salafism. He's a Salafi sheikh who cares about the Quran, Sunnah, and the Salaf. he's going to specifically be targeting the Salafi inclined Muslims. But that's just one part of the media operation. You want to target every demographic. You want to cover every segment of the Muslim population, the religious Muslim population, the non-religious Muslim population, the more secular population. So you have someone like Nas Daily. Nas Daily is perfect for this kind of cosmopolitan Arab youth, maybe in Egypt, maybe in Beirut, maybe in Damascus, more cosmopolitan, Generation Z, this kind of youth that really wants to make connections with the entire globe, wants to hold hands with the entire globe, just a citizen of the world, like this type, this type of mentality that we see amongst the younger generations. They're more liberal, more feminist. Who do you target that demographic? Well, you have Nas Daily. What is Nas Daily's videos all about? It's all about traveling the world. We're all one humanity. We all love each other. Let's all hold hands, and let's all hold hands with Israel. That's Nas Daily's message. So 90%, if you look at Nas Daily, if you look at Rabbi Faris, 90% of their message is targeting the demographic, targeting the specific group. So with Rabbi Faris, 90% of his content is promoting Salafism. And this is what makes him believable, what makes him plausible. That's what attracts his students, attracts a following. 10% is this poison. 10% is the Israeli talking points, the Zionist talking points. Nas Daily, same thing. Nas Daily, same thing. So he'll have 90% or 95% of his content about going to Singapore, going to Senegal, going to Mexico, eating the food, talking with the locals. Oh, isn't this so beautiful? We're all one humanity. 10% or 5% of his content is, oh, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism. We're all one religion. And look at, can't we have peace in the Middle East? Can't we have peace if the Palestinians would stop being terrorists? If the Palestinians would just understand the value of peace and love like we do, like I do, Nas Daily, if the Palestinians would just stop shooting rockets, we could finally have peace in the Middle East. It's because of these closed-minded fundamentalists in Gaza, in the West Bank. That's the reason that we can't have peace. Jews want peace. Israel wants peace, but the Palestinians won't allow it. We need to get beyond this terrorism. That's 5% of Nas Daily's message. And then who else? So you have someone like Rabbi Faris, you have someone like Nas Daily, you have people who are targeting more of the secular types, like someone like Loay Asharif. He's another one of these more secular Arab types. Amjad Taha, or Taha Amjad, mix up his first and last name. He's another one of these more secular types. Then you have targeting the Shia, targeting Shia Muslims. Who do you have targeting them? Imam Tawhidi. Remember this? The Imam of Piss? The Imam of Piss is targeting Shia Muslims because he's a Shia trained. He's studying in Qom in Iran, in the Shia seminaries in Iran. He's going and preaching to the Shia that we have to recognize peace. We want peace. So that means throwing out the terrorism that's found in our religion, the terrorism that's found in Islam. So this is an agent. This is an agent for Israeli interests. You have people who are dedicated to targeting the Sufi side, the Sufi, more traditionalist, the non-Salafi religious Muslims. Who's that? You have Abdullah bin Bayya. Abdullah bin Bayya, Mauritanian scholar, sheikh, well respected. He comes in and he is sponsored by the UAE, is given a very high position in the UAE, is leading all of these conferences that the UAE puts on about peace. We want to promote peace in the Middle East. And the biggest problem that we have in the region is not Israel. The biggest problem is not Zionism. The biggest problem are these intolerant interpretations of Islam that lead to terrorism and extremism. So we want moderation. We want to go back to the Sufi principles of love, mercy, and tolerance. This is what Abdullah bin Bayah preaches, targeting that side of the spectrum. And who does he have? His student, Hamza Yusuf. Also, for the English-speaking side, the Western side, you have Hamza Yusuf, another respected figure in the Western Muslim community, and he is also attending the same conferences. He has this being patronized by the same figures within the UAE, political figures in the UAE. He's targeting that side. And then you have someone like Shahid Bolsen, or you can call him Shahid Bolstein, who his channel is blowing up. Shahid Bolstein, his channel is just blowing up, more and more followers. Who knows where these followers are coming from, who find his political analysis just so on point. So on point. He says things like Iran and Israel are actually friends behind the scenes. It's all just political theater. He's been saying this for months. He says that the real enemies of Israel, the colonial project of Israel, the real enemies are who? UAE and Saudi. They're the real enemies. Because when you normalize with Israel, that's economic warfare. You're economically conquering Israel if you normalize with Israel. That proves that the UAE and Saudi are actually the enemies of Israel. But Iran is the friend of Israel. They have all of these deals together. And it's a symbiotic relationship. This is what Bolstein says. And that's how sophisticated this kind of Hasbara or influence operation really is. The Hasbara is so sophisticated that someone like Bolstein will openly speak as if he's against Israel. No, I don't like Israel. Israel is a colonial genocidal state. He will say that, but his underlying message is serving Israel's overall mission, which is to normalize with its neighbors and entrench its power in the Middle East, entrench its power in the neighboring Arab countries through the Abraham Accords. That's their mission. So it doesn't matter how you get to that point. It doesn't matter how you're able to achieve that. Just say whatever you need to say. Say whatever you need to say to run this PSYOP, to run this influence operation. You have Muslims who are listening to Shahid Bolstein saying, wow, yeah, that's true. We should support normalization with Israel. Wow, we should back the UAE and Saudi and stop criticizing them, because that's what Bolstein says. Don't criticize the UAE and Saudi. But Bolstein doesn't use the rhetoric of Rabbi Faris. When Rabbi Faris says, don't criticize the UAE and Saudi, he uses the rhetoric of Wahhabism, Madkhalism. He cites a hadith and misuses the hadith to give this false, deviant interpretation that on a religious basis, on an Islamic basis, we shouldn't criticize the UAE and Saudi. Bolstein doesn't do that because Bolstein is not targeting the Salafi crowd. He's not targeting that demographic. Bolstein says, no. He puts it in terms of being anti-colonial, being anti-capitalist. If we want to destroy the capitalist colonial state of Israel, we need to normalize relations with them. We shouldn't criticize them, because if you criticize the UAE, you don't understand the 5D chess that is being played by MBZ, or the 5D chess that's being played by MBS against the Israeli powers. Us mere mortals, we just don't have the capability, the IQ to understand the moves that are being made in Dubai and Riyadh. We can't comprehend. So don't criticize. This is way beyond your pay grade. But just trust the plan. This is the economic conquest of Israel. This is what he peddles. This is what someone like Bolstein peddles. It's the same slop. It's the same Hasbara slop, except it's targeting a different demographic. And people are eating it up. People are eating it up. So this is the realm of influence operation. And it's something that you can also see politically. Because politically, Israel also plays both sides. If you look at American politics, you have the Republicans who are infiltrated by Zionist influence in the Israeli lobby. But the Democratic side is also infiltrated by AIPAC. The Democrat side, the liberal side, is also heavily funded by AIPAC and Zionist interests. No difference. So you can vote. It doesn't matter if you vote Republican or you vote Democrat. At the end of the day, whoever you vote for is going to support a Zionist interests and Israel's overarching goals. This is the inevitability when Israel is trying to control both sides. Same thing in the UK. You have Labour Party, you have Conservative Party. At one point there was representation of an anti-Israel contingent within British politics. You had someone like Jeremy Corbyn, who did represent this type of anti-Israel or at least non-Zionist political position. What did they do to Jeremy Corbyn? They smeared him as an anti-Semite, and he was kicked out of the party, basically, and replaced. Now the Labour Party is 100% behind Israel, supporting Israel all the way, even in the moments of the worst moments of the genocide that's been taking place over the past 18 months. Look at the European continent. Same story. Traditionally, in Europe, the right wing was going to be more anti-Semitic. The right wing was going to be more nationalist, more populist, and less interested in defending Israel. But the right wing has been completely infiltrated. Now you have people like Geert Wilders, you have Marie Le Pen, you have other right-wing populists in Germany with the AfD party. They're all Zionists. They're 100%. They're the loudest proponents of Zionism. And they're on the right-wing populist end of the spectrum, as opposed to the left-wing communist side. Whether it's the left-wing communist side, they're going to be Zionists. If it's the right-wing populists, they're going to be Zionists. Doesn't matter who you vote for, you're going to get Zionism. So on the political level, on the level of media and social media, this is the Zionist strategy, is to buy out and control and influence both sides. The only thing that matters is supporting Israel. The only thing that matters is serving Israeli interests. And they're doing the same thing with Muslims. It doesn't matter if you're a Salafi. It doesn't matter if you're Sufi. It doesn't matter if you're Shi'i. It doesn't matter if you're Deobandi. It doesn't matter if you're Brelvi. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal, if you're a feminist, if you're a pro-gay, pro-LGBT Muslim. It doesn't matter. They want to have a Zionist version of that. And they want to make the Zionist version the most prominent, influential, with specific set of influencers, a specific set of outlets on social media that they can pump out this message. So we have to be aware of this operation, and so that we don't fall for it, because their methods are only getting more and more advanced and sophisticated. Not only in terms of their strategy, but in terms of their technology.